As hairdressers, we all understand why it is important to have an established core of classic haircuts that work across all lengths and textures. With this in mind, Toni&Guy created the original Classic Cuts video collection. This has played a major part in the educational program that has helped establish our worldwide reputation. At Toni&Guy, we are constantly inspired by contemporary fashion trends and reflect these in our annual collections. Now we have also revised our basic techniques and present a second collection of classic cuts, which, as well as updating the original cuts, have added a men's collection and a guide to personalizing techniques. This collection of videos and the accompanying step-by-step book will provide you with a solid foundation in the skills of modern haircutting and color. Classic Cuts 2 from Toni&Guy.
The square layer cut creates internal texture and shape on a mid-length baseline. The perimeter has been created by using the one-length technique and also the forward graduation technique, both of which can be viewed in this collection. But to briefly recap these techniques: one-length recap. Partings and sections move from a profile into a diagonal forward, into horseshoe. The distribution moves from natural fall into over-directed. Elevation is 0 degrees, held in the comb, and the line is cut square. Forward graduation recap. Partings and sections move from a profile into diagonal back, into pivoting diagonal back. Distribution is T to the parting. Elevation is a stationary 45 degrees. The line is cut visually from the baseline up. Having checked the balance of the forward graduation, a profile section is taken, approximately ½ an inch wide, from the front hairline to the nape. With the head upright, the section is combed to 90 degrees using the fine teeth of the comb. The line is cut square using the front and side perimeter as a guide to length. From the crown to the occipital, the hair is over-directed up and continued square to follow the guideline. Radial partings are taken from the crown to the top of the ears, separating the back sections from the front. Keeping the profile parting in place, a pivoting radial section is taken from the crown to the nape. With the head upright, this section is combed at 90 degrees to over-directed. and cut to follow the guideline. Pivoting radial sections are continued until reaching the radial parting, and the technique repeated. Repeat the process on the opposite side. Note the hand, arm, and body positions, which all promote squareness. Check balance and cross-check using diagonal back sections. Working in front of the radial parting, a horizontal section is taken from the profile parting to the hairline at the side. With the head upright, using the fine teeth of the comb, the section is combed at 90 degrees to over-directed. The line is cut square, using the profile and the previous section as guides to length. Continue the horizontal sections forward and repeat the technique in exactly the same way. The last horizontal section at the front hairline is over-directed back to the previous section to allow for the recession area. Cross-check using diagonal back sections. Repeat the process on the opposite side. Using horizontal sections, continue working forward on the head. Once again, cross-check with diagonal back sections. The hair is now ready for blow drying. Power dry to remove excess moisture. Work in sections up the head using a round brush. Here the hair has been coloured using the reverse diagonal technique, which can be viewed on our classic colouring series. The shape is checked visually. Square layer recap. Partings and sections move from a profile into pivoting radials, into horizontal. Distribution moves from 90 degrees to over-directed. Elevation is also 90 degrees to over-directed. And the line is cut square. Personalizing is an essential part of the Toni&GUY philosophy. Texturizing techniques are used to adapt classic shapes to suit the individual. On the last video in this series, we introduced techniques such as point cutting, slicing, brick cutting, and razoring, which expand the classic portfolio to accommodate all lengths and textures of hair and allow the stylist to develop their creativity for the benefit of the client.